Why should we have empathy? Why should we care about other people? What is empathy really about? It's an interesting question, isn't it? So, one of the things that I've come to understand is that empathy opens us up to an infinite world. To an infinite world, because here's the key: everyone in the world sees life differently. Yep, everyone in the world looks at life a bit differently. No one sees life the same way. And so that's why it's good to be empathetic. It's good to be empathetic because trying to understand where someone is coming from is valuable when we're trying to communicate, when we're trying to have a relationship with someone. If we're not empathetic, then we're always going to see them or life through our perspective, and we will have no idea how anyone else is seeing the world. No idea. So empathy is a good thing. Empathy also opens us up to a greater and greater and greater experience of life because we see it through different perspectives, because we're open to the possibility. We're not just being narcissistic and trying to see life only through our own possibility. And that's a really, really, really big thing. I don't know what it's like to be 14 years old today. Why? Because I'm not 14 years old today. When I was 14, everything was different than it is today. I don't know what it's like to see life through a 90-year-old's eyes. I'm not 90. I'm Lee Wolak. I'm unique. I am perfect as Lee Wolak being unique, just like you are perfect being unique as you. And that's the only way we can be. You get that? That's the only way that we can be in the world, is to be our unique self. Anything other than that, we're lying to ourselves. We're lying to the world, and that never feels good. I don't know how you are in the world, but I'll tell you what, when I'm not being myself, I don't feel centered. I don't feel good. I only feel good when I'm being authentic, when I'm being me. And some people say, well, I don't like when you be you. Well, too friggin' bad, right? I'm not here to please anyone. Are you here to please anyone? I don't know. Jean, are you here to please anyone? Maggie, are you here to please anyone? Annette, are you here to please anyone? If you are, I wonder where you got that from. Because I don't know that it's ordained from above that we have to please other people. I don't buy that. I think we were given freedom, free will to be our unique self, to have as great an experience as we possibly can while we're on the planet. And the experience we have while we're on the planet, if we are empathetic, we will be seeing it through the eyes of others, which means we'll have an even greater experience because we can see it through their eyes, but also it opens us up to new ways of looking at the world, new ways of changing our perspective, to have a broader view of life instead of a narrow view of life. Anytime people, groups of people, individuals become polarized, the scope of life comes down. And it never feels good. It never feels good when the scope of life comes down. You see, when Timothy Leary and Ram Dass back in the 60s were experimenting with hallucinogenics, in particular LSD, the reason that they were experimenting was it opened the mind to an experience bigger than they were ever able to have. That's the same thing that's got people hooked on things like ayahuasca, mushrooms right now, is because it opens the mind to a greater experience. Is that stuff necessary? No. But it takes a great discipline to be open. It takes a great discipline to see the world differently. It takes a great discipline not to be locked into our attachment, locked into our little groups where we're not looking at things from a broader perspective. Simply, the key thing in life is to realize that your perspective that you're going through is unique to you and it's limited. It's limited. Now, if that's where you want to stay, that's a choice. I would tend to think that if you stood there too long, you would really, really, really get bored. Yeah. Alicia says, good morning from Colorado. I would say, if I was Alicia, I would say, good morning from Colorado, the home of Reverend Lee's granddaughter, Claire. When I think of Colorado, I think of my little granddaughter. I also think about my sons, but I think about my granddaughter. I also think about how I love hiking there, how I love being out in the mountains on the western slope. I really enjoy that. I love Breckenridge. I love Keystone. I love those places. Also, there's some good restaurants out there. In Denver, I know I'm going off subject, but it's my podcast. I can do whatever I want. I'm being unique. So get that. I'm being unique. In Denver, there's a restaurant called Cracovia. And Cracovia is an authentic Polish restaurant. Well, I'm half Polish. I was brought up on Polish food. So whenever I come to Denver, I go to Cracovia. Just telling you. So if you're there, Alicia, I'd highly recommend Cracovia. And ask for the chef. The chef is Uta. And Uta will come out and tell Uta, I want to try the best you got. And let me tell you, her mushroom gravy, to die for. Anyway, you can get pierogies and get a side of mushroom gravy on it, or you can get a kapusta, stuffed cabbage, and put mushroom gravy on. Oh my God, so good. What am I doing right now? I'm being unique. In my uniqueness, am I expanding your perspective? Are you hearing new ideas? Alicia just heard about a great new restaurant. I don't know if she'll like it. Guess what? Don't care. It's her choice. You see, that's what I love about life is you don't have to care whether people like things or not. I know Jackie's out there. You're making me hungry, Lee. Hell, Jackie, I'm making myself hungry. Because here, what I've adopted is, this whole thing about intermittent fasting. Well, I've developed a thing where I eat at night and then I eat and I'm done about 6 at the latest. And then I don't eat again until 11:30 the next day. And sometimes like today, I've been talking about food. I get hungry. But I found that my body does better when I'm eating 2 meals a day. I like that long digestion period from 6 at night to 11:30 the next day. You think about that's 12, that's 17 and a half hours. Boy, that really allows your body to get rid of stuff, to process stuff before you start jamming other stuff on it. Being happy for others is the way to your own happiness. Reading Buddhist texts seems like your empathy ideology. Of course, it's all the same, Lori. They just use different words. When you get down to the basic teachings of Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and you get past the dogma, pretty much all the same thing. But we get stuck in dogma. What is dogma? It goes right along with what I'm talking about today, isn't it? It's being stuck from one perspective. It's not being empathetic. If you have dogma, you can't be empathetic toward how someone else sees it. Yeah. We've gotten so polarized. And let me just say this about that. This is what's been coming to me. How do I be spiritually aware and deal with all the stuff going on in the world? What I've come to understand is that all the stuff going on in the world right now, it's always been going on. But with social media, we get told about it all the time. And not only do we get told about it on social media, we get manipulated into this view or that view or this view or that view. So the question I would say is how to be spiritual in a world like this is do your spiritual practice. Be aware that you're not the conditions of your life, but you're so much more than that. Also, be aware that everyone else is unique in their own way. Don't try to convince anyone to be in your box. Let them be in their box. Be empathetic. Be empathetic and be kind. Those are two wonderful things that can bring you into the world, live in the world today. Do your spiritual work, stay grounded, become aware. Do meditate, recharge, reboot your mind all the time with meditation. And then be kind and empathetic. It's a simple way of doing that. And don't let anyone push anything down your throat. You know what's right for you because only you do. No one else knows what's right for you. Trust yourself. Your higher self knows. Isn't it time we started listening? Because that higher self is infinite. Just saying. Anyway, I'm done for today. I want to thank you for joining me. If you like this, share it. The more you share it, the more people get to hear it. Maybe we'll get some questions out there. That's my job. I've determined my job is to put questions into the world. It's not to change you. It's to put questions into the world and let you make the decision for yourself. Because only you know what's right for you. With that, I want you to know I love you because I accept you as in all of your uniqueness. Until next time, aloha, everybody.